Hello, I'm Gracie and today's video is me talking about my diagnosis. More specifically, my cancer diagnosis. I know what you're thinking, it's probably going to be all doom and gloom, but I'm hoping that this video will educate some of you who know me already but don't know why or how I got cancer. I'm hoping that people that don't know me will find some help in watching this. Maybe they're going through something similar, or maybe you're just curious. Anyway, let's get started. So back in March 2017, I found a small lump on my head, just here. I'm wearing a wig so you can't see it. Yeah, there was a small lump about the size of a grape, I'd say. It wasn't that large when I noticed it, and it wasn't painful, didn't feel any pain with it. And I went to my doctor about it, went to my general practice, and he took a look at it and he noticed that some of the hair was going around it. It was sort of just, you could see my scalp, there was no hair covering the bump, and so he automatically thought it was alopecia. Specifically, he said alopecia areata, which kind of made sense to me because I looked it up. It involves areas of your head not having hair around the size of like a 20p coin, which it matched up. Didn't think much of it. I was devastated because at that time, funnily enough, losing my hair felt like the worst thing that could happen to me. Bearing in mind I was 16 at this time. Within the summer, I'd say about August time, we went on a holiday to Spain. It was boiling hot, it was so unbearable. And I think it was on the third day, I woke up and my face was just swollen. I'm including this here in this story time because in my head I think that had something to do with it. Even though I put on sunscreen, it was just so hot that I think it may have activated some of my cells within my body. It may have made them cancerous. I couldn't tell you specifically what happened. At this point, my bump was huge. I'll insert a picture here. It was huge, it was massive, and it was starting to go a bit purple. Like it was starting to get painful on my head because it was crushing like the tissue beneath, you know, the surface. But I kept saying, oh, it's just alopecia, blah, blah, blah. I'm type 1 diabetic, so I went to my diabetic nurse and I said to him that I'm not sure what this bump is, that it was starting to get painful. And he basically took one look at it and he said, I don't want to do anything with it because he doesn't know what it is. So he just said, I'm gonna refer you to a dermatologist. So I went to the dermatologist. Understandably, I was upset, I was crying, and she went to me, why are you crying? And I said, well, I think it's a lymphoma, because I looked it up, which is a dumb thing to do. Don't do that because you just cause more worry for yourself. But I had looked it up, and at this point I was kind of certain it was cancer, just had that gut feeling. But she went, nope, can't be cancer, it won't be cancer. You don't have cancer. I mean, I hate to say I told you so, but... And she said to me, okay, we'll get you a biopsy. We'll do a biopsy. So the next day, I think it was, I went into Winchester Hospital and they laid me down on the bed and they said that my mum couldn't be in with me. And like I said, again, I was 16 at this time, so I wasn't yet an adult. I was just so nervous. I was literally shaking with adrenaline because I didn't know what to expect. I'd never had a biopsy before. And then they started doing local anaesthetic. They injected my scalp about 5 times, and then they started cutting into my scalp with a scalpel, and they took some of the bump, and I could hear them whisper, put this through as urgent, which is not the most reassuring of words. They put the stitches back in and they sent me on my way, and they said that they'd keep in touch about what the results were. So usually you have to wait 10 days before you get your stitches out, and that's what I did. I went to my general practice because they said that would be fine for them to take it out there, and they started taking it out, and literally my scalp just went, it just opened. There was a whole open wound in my head, and the doctor literally said to me that my head was destroyed and that there was absolutely no way that they could fix it. I just started panicking, and they wrapped a bandage around my head and they said phone the hospital, phone the doctors, and asked to get it seen to immediately. So we rang the doctors and they said, you can come in tomorrow morning and we'll discuss what's happened. On the drive that next morning, I was just feeling sick, and I knew, I just had this gut feeling that it was bad news. So we walk into the hospital, sit in the waiting room, and we're called through, and we sat down, and the nurse, I don't actually know what she was, what her profession is specifically, but she said to me, the reason why your scalp didn't heal is because there are abnormal cells there, and so they weren't going to heal like a normal scalp would have healed. And so when she said abnormal cells, my stomach just like dropped and my heart just felt like it had been pushed back, like physically pushed back. I said, is it lymphoma? And she nodded. And I just turned to my mum, and she started crying, obviously, and I started crying, and we just didn't know what to do. She said that she would bandage my head, and so she bandaged my head. We phoned a few people, phoned my dad, because he wasn't able to be there because they hadn't given us any warning that we'd be getting a serious talk that day. We just thought we were going in to get my head stitched up again. So yeah, he wasn't there for when I was diagnosed, but he came from Portsmouth down to Winchester, and then we were showing up to the child ward where we were supposed to be meeting a doctor who was going to explain everything to us. So we get up there, my dad arrives, everything's very emotional, as you can probably imagine. We phone my brother, and I just hear him screaming down the phone. I think that's the hardest thing, is like hearing the reactions of other people, because you're reliving it again and again, but obviously you have to tell them because you know it's a big thing. So the doctor comes through and he explains to us that I'm going to be transferred to Southampton General Hospital. He said that I would be put in the teenage and young adult ward there. So I'm like, okay, it's fine. I think I went home and I just can't really remember much of what happened that day, the rest of the day. I know that family members came home, but I think I've erased that memory in my head because I don't really want to go through it again. I don't really remember any of it, which is probably a good thing. And then for the next few days I have MRIs and PET scans and CT scans. I have a Hickman line put in, which is basically a tube that goes through your chest, which helps to take blood and, you know, put medication into you. I'm staying at this ward, so I have this whole nice room to myself. Sorry, my camera died, so I have to set it up again. Don't know if this is in the same place as it was, but I'm gonna have to live with it. So yeah, I stayed in this room for the whole time, and this was on the 12th of December 2017. So spent Christmas in hospital, which was always, you know, great. I had CT, MRI, PET scan, and the doctor said to me, we're gonna have to see how far the cancer has spread for us to, you know, gauge what treatment I'm gonna be having. But they did diagnose me with the type of cancer I had, and it was an acute lymphoblastic lymphoma, which some of you probably don't understand what that is, but it's basically along the lines of leukemia, but not leukemia. It's known as ALL, which some of you may have heard of more likely than, you know, acute lymphoblastic lymphoma. Bit of a mouthful. But yeah, a couple of days later I was told that it was only in my head and a bit near my ear, which was a relief, to be honest. I was then told that I could go home for Christmas Day and then return around January time, and they would start treatment, which is a 3-year leukemia course of treatment, which I'm still on now. which you know, it may amaze some people because they don't typically see cancer people as this, but that's my story of my diagnosis. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Please comment down below on what I should do next, because I'm still new to this, I don't really know what I'm doing. Make sure to subscribe. But yeah, thank you for watching guys, bye!